to the state of Illinois. I know we heard somebody say earlier that he called in and he said he wanted, just like Washington District of Columbia, he wants a Chicago district that just is separate from the state of Illinois, so people downstate don't have to live with that anymore. Andy Frey is with us.
That was me calling in, lowering my voice.
From the Andy Frey Show on Saturdays from 5 to 7. That's funny.
Yeah.
Because people feel that way who live downstate.
Chicago feels that way about downstate. They don't want us because we have a Republican governor. And the only reason we have a Republican governor is because every other county wanted a Republican governor than Cook County. Give them what they want. Give us what we want. We'd be happy.
Well, Springfield, too, though, right? Probably?
No, not really.
He didn't,
red.
No?
Still red. Wow. Only when Governor Quinn won his last election, the one he won, not the one he lost to Rauner, he only won 3 counties in the entire state. In the entire state of Illinois, only 3 counties were blue. The state is red. The corner is blue, and it's just like the presidential election. You look at the map, and the map is very red, but the blue places have a lot of people. That's why we have states' rights.
It's so funny because if you overlay it with the crime statistics, it almost matches. It's just an amazing thing.
Yep. Can I weigh in on Rachel Maddow just really quick?
Please. I never hear enough about Rachel Maddow.
Oh, I hear. If I've heard anything, it's enough. But I forced myself the other night to watch MSNBC, and it happened to be her, and I'm like, you can do this, Annie. Hold on tight, you can do this. And she went into this, I mean, it was a marathon to get to her point, a connection between Donald Trump and a foreign leader who spoke at some press conference. I don't even remember the details, and I couldn't even regurgitate it, but she was so beside herself about Donald Trump's connection and possible conflicts of interest with foreign people. Did she ever talk about that during the election with Hillary Clinton?
Not that I remember.
No. Because it's not convenient to her. Anyway, I gave it 10 minutes, and I think that will be it for 2017 for me and MSNBC. I just can't stomach it.
My goodness.
So, anyway,
Plus,
Illinois.
It was so obvious leading into it about how arrogant she was that Hillary Clinton was going to win.
Yeah.
And then the tears that come in her face when she just feels like she's been kicked in the gut.
When she talks about Donald Trump and putting her in a camp, she's not talking about Donald Trump. She's talking about you and me.
Oh,
she
sure.
thinks you and I want her in a camp because as a liberal progressive, if you cannot stomach Donald Trump, the conservative, just think about what she thinks about us, who are on the right side of Donald Trump.
Yeah. I thought it was pretty funny because when Megyn Kelly announced the other night that she was leaving and she was going to NBC, she talked about how happy she was to be joining NBC and all the great people who work there. And I'm thinking, well, Rachel Maddow works there. How can you say that?
Yeah,
you're going to be working with Rachel Maddow.
Do you separate NBC from MSNBC?
I don't.
You don't?
I don't. No.
I don't watch that kind of news anymore. I just never put myself in front of the television when
I just
it's
think
on, so
of the two of them as interchangeable, almost like Fox News and the Fox Business Channel. I mean, they're in the same building. Sometimes they cross over and appear on each other's air.
Yeah.
Andrea Mitchell's often on MSNBC talk shows, and others are crossover and are on NBC. I just don't see any difference.
As a mother of 3 children myself, I'm happy for her, and she reportedly has passed up a significant amount of money to have a daytime show.
We don't know how much they're paying her, do we?
I read today that Fox News offered her $25 million a year for 4 years to stay and do it. An enormous amount of money, and I read that on, I think it was the Independent Journal Review. It was not a fringe website, but she's moving to a daytime show. So I mean, there's the politics that people want to infuse in it. She's put herself in a position to take those punches. But as a mother, to be able to have a daytime show, that is a game changer. And for me to work in radio and have a daytime job, that is the hugest blessing.
So we're assuming she's making less money to go to NBC and have her own show, and then this Sunday night thing. The
report
that she'll tape.
that I read says that she took significantly less money for the NBC job.
I thought this morning, my wife and I had this conversation, I thought she would fall off her chair when I told her that Fox offered Megyn Kelly $20 million a year, because maybe I had my numbers wrong, and she walked away from it.
Yeah.
And Michelle's thought was, as a mother who we made a decision a long time ago for her to stay home with our kids when they were being raised, and then she did a lot of work from home and picked up part-time jobs to help supplement her income. Her thought was, for God's sake, do it for 1 year and then quit. I mean, if you can bank $20 million or even 10 in a year, then you can have all the time with your kids that you want.
I think that Megyn Kelly probably has enough money in the bank to just quit now.
Probably.
But I see your point.
Yeah. I mean, it's a stunning. It's an amount of money that most of us just can't even wrap our brains around. It's just amazing.
I think the Megyn Kelly situation had a lot more to do with lifestyle, and I think she's blessed enough financially to be able to make decisions that don't have as nearly as much to do with money as any decision that I would possibly be making.
Well, Jason Church just handed me a little bit of breaking news, because earlier I reported that there were several media outlets reporting that Donald Trump was considering doing away with the position of Director of National Intelligence, which would kind of be a big deal. And now we're told that former Indiana Senator Dan Coates has been named Director of National Intelligence.
It's going to be a rough day for him on January 20th if he chooses to eliminate that.
No kidding. So anyway, that's neither here nor there, but I wanted to report that because it's breaking news. Jason, thank you. Back to Illinois. So in my opinion, when I think of Illinois, I think of high taxes. And now they're thinking about anything that involves Mike Madigan has to involve additional taxes, but to get a grand bargain, that may be some of what Republicans have to give up over there, right?
Yep. Right now there's John Cullerton, who's the leader of the Senate. He's a Democrat, obviously, and the Republican leader in the Senate, Christine Radogno. I've never heard that name before, but that's how ineffective some Republicans have been in the Senate in Illinois. But apparently they have gotten together and they are starting to work on a compromise. And that, for an Illinois resident, is a huge deal, because with Bruce Rauner, who's the Republican governor in Illinois, he's been there for 2 years now, and people like to harp on him for not getting anything done. Well, Mike Madigan is the buck stopper. Just like Harry Reid in the Senate would disallow conversations to even be had. Nothing could even be voted on. So when you can't get anything done because you can't have the conversation, that is exactly what Mike Madigan has been doing in the House in Illinois. Well, in the Senate now, John Cullerton and the Republican leader in the Senate have been talking and are working on a compromise. And what is being reported that they've been discussing, and this is, again, without Madigan involved in the conversation and without Rauner in the conversation, which is why stuff is actually getting done. The proposal includes, here's the bad news.
Yeah.
This is the stuff we don't like. Yeah. The proposal includes a new personal income tax rate at 4.9%. When Pat Quinn was governor, we had it at 5%. And then when one of the main reasons Pat Quinn lost is because that was supposed to be a temporary tax hike. He wanted to make it permanent. And Rauner immediately said, no, we're not rolling it back to what it is currently. Well, it would go back to 4.9%. If you think as an Illinois resident that we're going to get out of this trouble without some tax somewhere, you're in fantasy land. So that stinks, but that is part of this compromise. Another part of it is everybody's favorite topic, a tax on sugary drinks, to the tune of they're hoping to raise about $700 million a year.
So this is... Not to digress, but on the sugary drink issue, they're not actually trying to sell that as doing it in the best interest of the health. They just found another product that they can tax.
Yeah, my report is from CapitalFacts.com, which is a very interesting place for state politics.
Right.
With Rich Miller puts a lot of interesting information up there. It's not really a nonpartisan issue based report, but he may even lean a little bit left. But it's a consumption tax, which, in my opinion, if I'm going to have to get taxed somewhere, I'd rather be able to have it be on consumption instead of my production.
Yeah, I guess.
So,
I don't like either.
True. But the situation is dire. However, on the Republican side of things, the package includes term limits, which is one of Rauner's fists to the table. This is what we need, term limits. It also includes discussion about pension reform, which is a giant issue in Illinois. And it also includes significant changes to the General Assembly's own pension system as well as other state systems. So they're actually talking about real roots of the problem in Illinois. And then a couple other things that it does discuss is workers' compensation reform and a 2-year property tax freeze.
You know, I would never agree with the tax increase, but if you could term limit Mike Madigan out of office, that would almost be worth it.
A little bit further in this article, it says that it would affect him by the time he's 87.
What? So it wouldn't be retroactive?
So the term limit could maybe not even be the actual limit.
God.
But, you know, God forbid he leaves and he sets the table for the next Mike Madigan.
Reminds me of one of my favorite Ronald Reagan quotes about government's view of the economy. If it moves, tax it. If it keeps moving, regulate it. And if it stops moving, subsidize it.
Sounds like Illinois
That's about
to me.
it. Thank you, Brian. It kind of wraps it up, doesn't it?
Yep.
Annie Frey, thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's interesting to know they're making some movement over there, even if it's not exactly what we all would have liked.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm glad that there's some conversation at least happening.
That's true. The Annie Frey Show every Saturday, 5 to 7 here on FM News Talk 97.1.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you. 314-969-9797. Get